and drop some smooth lyrics.
Great googly moogly. Thank you for tuning in to the return of the Bet Edge video series. We haven't thrown one of these videos up in quite some time, but you can absolutely still find some great information, free picks, and some great betting tools that are going to make your bets more profitable over time. We post all that great stuff just about every single day at our Twitter page at bet_edge. I'll definitely post a link in the description down below. So please give us a follow, give us a like and a share. It definitely goes a long way in keeping this content free. But let's dive right into it. Today's video for the return of our series is for the 2018 NHL playoffs. We're going to be focusing on the Eastern Conference here. And we're going to go series by series, give you a quick breakdown and maybe a best bet for every series here. So let's dive right into it. Our very first series, the Philadelphia Flyers taking on the Pittsburgh Penguins, your defending Stanley Cup champion Pittsburgh Penguins in a battle for Pennsylvania here. These two teams have met in the playoffs, it seems, just about every year, and there's a lot of bad blood, a lot of history, but to tell you the truth, it usually goes the same way with the Pittsburgh Penguins prevailing when it's all said and done. But let's dive into this particular series and see what's going on here. The Flyers actually hold a pretty good statistical profile when matching up with the Pens here. They have edges in goals against, face-off percentage, which is going to give them the puck a little bit more of the time, and as well as time spent killing penalties. They are actually one of the best in the league. I know it says 30th up there at PK time. That's actually a great thing. That means they have spent just about the least amount of time in the penalty box, or killing penalties at least, in regards to the rest of the NHL. So I mean that's a great thing when you're facing a juggernaut like this Pittsburgh Penguins team. Staying out of the box is going to be imperative because the Pittsburgh Penguins have the league's #1 power play. I mean, they're absolutely deadly, and you can accompany that with the fact that the Pittsburgh Penguins are #1 in 5-on-5 goals over the last 3 months. So they're hurting you 5-on-5, they're hurting you 4-on-4, and I mean, I really think that this team is being overlooked. I think they are, or I know they are. If you look at the last point there, 7.25 to 1 to win the Eastern Conference. I believe they're the third or fourth favorited team, and I just don't understand why. To me, they have the most depth in hockey. They're second in shots on goal. I mentioned that #1 power play. I mean, this is my team. This is the team I have pegged to come out of the Eastern Conference. Tampa Bay having a fantastic season, but I don't think they have the pedigree near as what the Pittsburgh Penguins have, and they might be in for a little bit of a cakewalk here against the Flyers. They won all 4 of the games against the Flyers in the regular season. They scored at least 5 goals in every one of those games. And I mean, when you're an underdog like the Flyers are going to be in this series, the most likely path to success is your goalie's going to have to steal you the series. And I just don't think that Peter Mrazek is capable of doing that against the Pens are going to throw line after line at you, and I mean, I just don't see it in the cards for the Flyers here, and there's just not a lot of value taking the Pittsburgh Penguins to advance here. I believe it's about 40 cents on the dollar, but at 7.25 to win the Eastern Conference, I think there is a ton of value there. The great thing about that bet is if they end up winning this series, they don't have to play a Boston, Toronto, or Tampa Bay in the next round. They'll most likely be getting Washington, who they seem to just beat every single year and have their number, or a Columbus team, which they'll be heavily favored against. So the value in this series, I think, is taking a little bit more of a broader scope and just taking the Pens to come out of the East at 7.25 to 1. If they make it to the Eastern Final against a team you're worried about, you can definitely look at cashing that bet out at probably no less than 2 to 1. So that's my bet here in this series. The Pittsburgh Penguins advance, I think, fairly easily against the Flyers here, and I think the value, as I said, on the Pens to win the East. That's our best bet for this series. So let's keep it moving. Series number 2. A great series, I think. The Toronto Maple Leafs versus Boston Bruins. I'm sure that series a few years ago, that epic meltdown is still fresh in the Leafs fans' minds. But hey, they got another kick at the can. They've got a chance for revenge here. Which I mean, I'm not sure how much that angle is going to play into effect here. both of these teams are almost completely different in terms of personnel. But let's get into it. Let's take a look at how they match up. Goals for is fairly even. The Bruins with a slight edge there in goals against. The Leafs with that face-off edge, and both of the special teams edge, power play percentage and penalty kill, the nod to the Leafs. And they also spend less time in the box than the Bruins do, and I think that's going to carry them a far way. I mean, if you just look at that breakdown, you didn't know anything about these teams. I might make the Toronto Maple Leafs the favorite in this series. The other point I really like about this Leafs team, I really like the experience that they gained, the playoff experience last year in that series against the Washington Capitals. They were a pretty big underdog, and they held their own. They took that series to 7. They did not look out of place, and I think if they bring that same effort here this year with the strides they've made, I really like their chances, and you're getting a little bit of value with them. You're getting a plus price at plus 136. I think I'm taking a shot with it. I mean, this Bruins team is got to be aging a little bit. Zdeno Chara nowhere near the player that he's been previously. I think Marchand, the core of this team, is getting a little long in the tooth. And this Leafs team is up and coming. I mean, they're on the rise. I think they are going to be kind of the team that's most well positioned, or at least one of them, going forward in the Eastern Conference for years to come. Maybe they show up, and this is kind of their coming out party here with a win against the Boston Bruins. I like their chances to do so. They were 3-1 against the Bruins this year. They're the healthier of the two teams, with Boston having the two Nashes, Carlo and Curley, all possibly missing at least one or more games in this series. At that plus price, I think this is a fairly even series. I like the Leafs at that plus price. That's my best bet for this series. We're going to rapid fire through the next two series here. I don't have too much. You've got Columbus versus Washington, the Caps with edges in goals for, face-off percentage, power play percentage, and PK percentage. They were 3-1 against Columbus this year, so that all bodes well for them. But I kind of really like the way this Jackets team is playing down the stretch. I love the deals they made at the deadline, adding some depth to that blue line. I just don't know how if this is the series that they're going to win. I really like their goaltending a lot better than the Caps. The Caps kind of have two goalies there with Grubauer and Holtby, and there's that saying, if you have two goalies, you don't have any. And the Jackets definitely have that solid force in the net with Bobrovsky. So I don't like the price. I don't trust either one of these teams, so no best bets here, unfortunately. The next series, last series of the conference, the Devils at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay is the favorite to come out of this conference, and I mean, I really understand why. They have so much depth top to bottom. They're going to have edges here in goals for, goals against, face-off percentage, power play percentage, and time spent on the penalty kill. I like their goaltending situation much more with Vasilevsky. And the Devils, to me, kind of seem like they might be a little easy to shut down. If you can shut Taylor Hall down, they really don't have too much in terms of scoring depth on that roster. That really might be an issue for them. And the other thing that they're going to struggle with, in my opinion, is playoff experience. The Devils have 11 players on their roster with 0 playoff games under their belt. Might be a little bit of shock there to the system there, those first few games. And if you fall behind against this Bolts team, lights out. New Jersey, thanks for coming out. I think your playoff run is going to be a little short this year. I like the Bolts to go through. They're going to be pretty much at full strength with Stamkos coming back, and that's absolutely scary. I like the Bolts to go through. So a quick little recap here with our best bets. Oh, my bad. Let's go back there. Our absolute favorite bet, Pittsburgh Penguins to come out of the conference at plus 625. As I said, may look at cashing that bet out when if they get to the finals. Well, that's a conversation for another day. I like the Leafs to get by the Bruins at that plus price, plus 135. I think there's a little bit of value there in what I think should be a close series. And we've got a little bit of a degenerate parlay here, a little bit of super square parlay, three heavy favorites. I really don't see Pittsburgh losing. I really don't see Tampa losing. And I'm not going to do a Western Conference preview video just because I think Nashville, not a lot of value. I like them going through. Same with Winnipeg, and then I think the other two series are a bit of a coin toss. But I really like Winnipeg to come through that series with the injuries to Minnesota's blue line and that home ice for Minnesota. Their depth, top to bottom, strength, speed, size, they've got it all in terms of advantages in that series. So the Pens, the Bolts, and Winnipeg, all to win their series. You parlay those three together, you get a nice plus price of $165. So those are going to be our three absolute best bets for this year's Eastern Conference playoffs. I really hope we got some winners on this card and that we all make some money together. Remember, please do give us a follow over on Twitter at bet_edge. Check the description for a link there below. Remember, we've got all kinds of great stuff up there pretty much every day. Great betting tools, and it's all absolutely free. So give us a like, give us a follow, give us a share. That goes a long way in keeping this content free. Thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Hopefully we'll be back with an extended video series here. We've got the NBA playoffs on the horizon. I'm sure we'll throw something up for that. And some golf majors coming up in the next few months also. So keep checking back. We'll have all kinds of new stuff up pretty much daily up there at the Twitter page at bet_edge. Thank you guys for tuning in. As always, good night and good luck.
With this, I'm just gonna sit here laid back to this nice mellow beat, and drop some smooth lyrics.